So, the first question, what advice would you give to your younger self on achieving success?
I think that in order to answer that question, you would have to define, first of all, what does success mean? In other words, there is financial success, which may be what most people consider to be successful, but there are other types of success as well. For example, are you successful at making the world a better place? Are you successful in getting yourself to heaven? Are you successful in maintaining a healthy lifestyle for yourself? So if you're talking strictly about financial success, I think that the advice I would give myself would be a quote from Mark Twain. And Mark Twain said that to be wealthy, all you have to do is live within your means. So even a very rich man cannot be wealthy if he's spending too much money and he's all stressed out, because even though he makes a lot of money, he might be spending more. Whereas someone who makes maybe a modest amount of money could feel very wealthy if he's got a lifestyle that he's not stressed out all the time about money. So if I was going to give myself some advice now, if I was back to your age, I would probably focus more on the other types of success other than money, getting to heaven, helping other people, being physically, watching what I did with my body more to be healthy. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, thank you. So what skills do you find to be most essential to achieving your different types of success?
I think that you need to be disciplined. In other words, if you make a decision to do something, to do it. And so that would go across any type of success that you wanted. For example, if you wanted to be rich, if you wanted to have that financial success, then you have to set up a game plan for yourself, and then don't let yourself deviate from it. Don't get distracted, and stay focused. And that would be true on the other types of success as well.
So what college did you go to, and what do you think high schoolers should do in order to prepare for college?
Okay, I first went to University of Miami, which is in Coral Gables, Florida. And that school at the time was fairly expensive. It still is an expensive school to go to. So I lived in no car. I had no car. My parents paid for most of my education. And after 2 years of going there, I really wanted a car. I really wanted to, live in my own apartment, maybe with just one roommate instead of like 10. So my parents said, well, if you transfer to Florida State University, which has a much less expensive tuition, I could get a car and share an apartment with only 1 or 2 other people. So I transferred to Florida State so I could have an old beat-up car and get around like that. So that's where I went to school, University of Miami for 2 years and Florida State University for 2 years. To prepare for college, I don't know if you really can prepare for college. It's so different than what you probably would ever think it would be. But I know there's some mistakes that you can make in college, which is to get there and all of a sudden overuse your freedom. Be careful about that.
Okay, so what was your most difficult struggle in achieving success, or your business, and how did you overcome it?
I think the most difficult part of achieving anything in life, or even getting through life, is stress. I know that even probably high school students experience stress.
Yeah.
And stress can really eat away at a lot of energy. It's really wasted energy. So it's very easy to say, don't get stressed out, but it's almost impossible to do. So what I ended up doing eventually to get rid of to help minimize my stress, is that I started really focusing on God, because He was to me a very great stress reliever. I just sort of threw everything at Him, and it seemed to make that feeling of stress diminish a lot.
Okay. From the question earlier that asked you, like, what skills do you find to be most successful? How have these skills helped you throughout your career, and why are these skills important?
Well, again, staying focused on what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
That's, I think that's a skill that anybody can learn. It's very easy in this world to get distracted. But again, if you stay focused on whatever you want to achieve, you 99 times out of 100 will achieve it. There's another expression, be careful what you dream for, because you're gonna get it. So if you really dream about being the best this or the best that, and that you stay 100% focused on that, you'll achieve it. I think it's just really all a matter of staying focused. That's my opinion.
So, what advice would you give to people who would like to start their own businesses?
Okay, that's a very good question. Number one, I think it's a very, very, very good idea to start your own business. There's a number of reasons for that. I tell my children that you can either pull a wagon or you can sit in a wagon, okay? So if you work for another person, you're helping to pull that person's wagon. So you'll see that the most successful people will keep adding people to that wagon to pull, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? So you want to try to be the person driving the wagon. So read the question again. I may have gotten off topic there.
What advice would you give to people who would like to start their own business?
Yes, so number one, I highly recommend that you do it. Okay, it's a lot more stressful, okay, and it's not for everybody, okay, but it can yield a lot of great returns. My advice, number one advice, is don't go into any business that you don't know about. In other words, if you get out of high school and you go, I want to open a sandwich shop, and if you've never worked at a deli or a sandwich shop, I don't think you're going to have very much luck in doing that, because you're not really going to know how much to pay for the ham or the cheese. You're not really going to know how to watch out that employees maybe don't take a little bit of money out of the till. You're not going to know how to deal with Pepsi or Coke. Whereas if you worked in a sandwich shop for a couple of years, you would look and you would see and you would go like, oh, I see how they're doing that. That's really good, but I think I got a better idea how to do that. And so then when you started your own business, you would know the pitfalls to watch out for, but then and you would also have the ability to make smart decisions about how to improve on that business. So the biggest mistake I think someone can make is to try to go into a business that they don't know about. So if you get out of college and you really want to start your own business, again, which I recommend, go to work for someone else who's in that business, so that you can learn that business on their money instead of trying to go into your own business where you're going to make a lot of mistakes. They're going to cost you a lot of money.
How did you figure out what you wanted to do in order to achieve like your own dream or success? So like, so how did you decide that you wanted to be a business owner?
A lot of times life leads you in directions that you just don't know where they're going to end up, right? So I majored in business in college. I never thought that my business card would say that I was the owner of a copy machine company. Okay, I mean, there's no way, right? You would never know that. When you look back, I'm old now, I'm 63. Happy birthday to me. 2 days ago was my birthday.
Oh.
Okay, so when you're looking on Craigslist or you're looking on Indeed or Monster or whatever website's popular when you get out of college, who knows what it'll be, and you say, oh, I'm going to interview for that job, it sounds interesting. It seems like a very small decision that you're going to go for an interview at this particular company. It doesn't seem like a very big decision at all. But then when you look back and you go, oh my goodness, I went on that interview and that shot me off in this direction. And if I had interviewed somewhere else and gotten that job, it maybe would have sent me off in this direction. So little decisions that you make that don't seem like that big of a decision when you're doing them, when you look back, you realize how those little decisions start sending you in lots of different directions. So when I got out of college, I went to work for I saw an ad, and we used to get our jobs, you'd look in the newspaper for jobs in the newspaper. They didn't have, the websites now. And I interviewed for a job for a company that sold ditto machines. And if you don't know what a ditto machine is, they used to give out tests in school. They would hand it out on paper with purple ink on it. It smelled like alcohol. It was a very, very strange device. But I went to sell those, and I got the job. So that sort of knocked me and sent me off in this direction of office equipment, which is what I sell now. And so that little decision just sent me in this way. I never really thought I would own my own business. I was practically forced into it because I was working in this industry for a long time, and the company I was working for went out of business, and when I went to try to get a job somewhere else, nobody would hire me. So I kind of had to start my own business. It was my only option, and it was the best thing that ever could have happened.
Okay, that's cool. So that's all my questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine, for a very interesting time. You should maybe be a news reporter.
I don't know about that.
Okay, well, be careful what ad you answer, right then. How many more people do you interview?
2 more.
2 more? Who are they?